All right, episode 17, part 2. Jason done messed up. While I'm screen sharing, there's a button on the top that says stop screen sharing, and then the stop broadcast is on the button, and my brain was like, there's the word stop, let's press it. So what we were talking about before I was stupid was how this is going to be one of those resources where the opponent has significantly more control over the tempo of what's going on with it, without having to have a specific character that says, no, you can't use that. And that's going to be one of the unique things about this resource as a whole. But I think we've spoken at length about those resources. I look forward to trying to see how they work. Let's talk about Trinity War, which is coming out on Wednesday, and we have a good idea about most of the figures, so let's talk Sealed. Most of the events this week, of course, for those of you familiar, your local stores are probably going to run a Sealed event for the release of Trinity War, which will generally be 2 packs, 300 to 400 points, depending on the venue. And so what we've done is we've each decided, or taken a look at the set, and decided what we think are our best 2 figures from each slot, being the common, uncommon, rare, or super rare. Super rares are also going to get lumped in with prime figures that we kind of feel fit in. You might hear more talk with regards to the super rares and the primes because it stretches a little bit more with regards to what they do. Whereas the commons, uncommons, and rares, we're probably going to have some more standout figures. So we're going to start with Mike. Mike, starting with the commons first, we'll go everybody's commons and then everybody's uncommons and so on. What 2 commons stand out to you in the sealed environment in this set?
I like Blackgate Inmate. I think it's the lowest point character in the set. It's 35 points for 5 clicks. And it has an interesting power action ability, which I at first saw and I was like, that's really stupid. Because they do a power action and choose a friendly character within 4 squares in line of fire, that character can use sidestep this turn. I was like, well, that's kind of bullcrap. But in reality, if I can give someone sidestep who's based and pushed out this turn, and they're facing a poisoner and they're glassy, then they can get away, like, potentially this turn. As long as there's, provided there's no plasticity, in which case it's impossible for me because I never roll a 6. But I think it's generally a very great. It really is a great character for 35 points. I mean, 5 clicks at 35 points. That alone is pretty incredible. Jordan, I'm sorry, but I have to say this word here. It's Vibe. Vibe is amazing.
Everyone knows that was going to be mine.
I hadn't really looked at it, and then this morning you pointed it out, and I was like, oh my god, that's incredible. Opposing characters within range must be given a double power action instead of a power or move action to activate charge, hypersonic speed, phasing, teleport, or range shots, or any of the really, really good moving abilities. That is amazing. That's absolutely incredible for 80 points. Not to mention that you've got TK on the dial there, top dial. Then you have, so it goes TK, Pulse Wave, TK, Pulse Wave, Pulse Wave, Pulse Wave, until she is no more. She's only 6 clicks, but 6 clicks for 80 points is totally reasonable. And Vibe can use Quake on top of it. Yay, cool.
It's always nice.
That's a nice thing.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about it is willpower and TK.
Willpower and TK right there. It's awesome.
The damage power is only for 5 range, unfortunately, which is why I think the first time I mentioned it, it was like drop a sniper on him, and you'll see his use, just like Shriek, kind of like skyrocket. But yeah, that damage power, regardless, you can
it's ridiculous.
Put it next to a character within 5 of the character. Their next turn, if they have a token, they're kind of screwed, unless they can be TK'd out of that 5 squares.
Well, there's also other characters in this set that mean that you don't, or there's another character that means that you don't ignore push damage, right? So you pair the 2, and you have a nice little nasty combo. I had a third common that I really liked, and that was, and it's just for purely for Steel because it's just a nice addendum. 68 points. Katana, I thought was a pretty good, solid piece. 6 clicks. 10 attack blades, toughness, exploit weakness, pretty straightforward. And then when Katana targets an opposing character with the highest point value on its force, with an attack, modify her attack and damage value by +1. That's great. That's fantastic. I mean, you can take down a tentpole fairly well that way. Not to mention, in later dials, she can do precision strike and steal energy. That's her white power there.
Yeah.
And the sidestep flurry combat reflexes steal energy with precision strike late dial after she's taken a hit makes her very durable for sticking on to people and
really good.
Actually dealing out the damage onto tentpoles that she needs to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's fantastic overall.
Fantastic.
All right. So my uncommon picks.
Actually, we're gonna move to Jordan's comment.
Okay. Yep. Go for it.
Taking them all. Carry on, Jordan.
Common figures, I obviously went for Vibe as number 1 pick. I feel like this set has a lot of like bruisers and a lot of fighting. So straight up my list has a lot of support characters on it that if you pull them kind of just sets you out of the advantage of like the rest of your boosters can be worse and you can just stack them up with support abilities, especially in the world of Sealed. Having your team have some synergy is always really nice. So my next character for common, I went for just standard Dr. Light. He's 56 points. He ignores hindering terrain. He's got a 7 range, 9 attack, with a 19 defense from range, and enhancement in what I saw as a predominantly ranged set as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do like the 56-point pulse wave there. Halfway down, it's pretty solid that way. I mean, his attack values aren't very, very high, so that's why I kind of shy away from it personally. But for 56 points, he's still amazing. Really, really good.
I was looking at enhancement, and after he gets hit, running shot pulse wave is always really nice.
Yeah, running shot pulse wave is great.
Even 9 attack, because you're taking away people's typical +1s and their energy shield deflections, their combat reflexes, whatever you're doing.
You're also making them think, right? Like you're drawing attention away from another area of the board because you're pushing, and people are thinking, why the hell is he doing that?
Yeah, or making a 50-point character a character somebody's actually got to pay attention to is also another thing.
Yeah, and regen with shape change, pretty solid.
Pretty annoying.
And both of his regen clicks can go to top dial with a good solid roll. I mean, 5 or 6 on each one.
That's the only thing I roll well on is regen. So I just need to play regen on all my characters from here on out.
I feel like that's the only thing I don't roll well in. Like, I roll decent shape change, I roll decent super senses, I roll decent impervious. Support, I roll probably like 3s all game.
I do okay with support.
Regen, I roll 1s and 2s. Only.
Yeah. Now, for the most part, I personally agreed with Jordan on Dr. Light. He kind of stood out to me. He doesn't fly, which makes him a little more useful because there's a lot of ranged flyers in this set. So the flyers are now able to actually carry their bullet strength. And one character that did stand out with an awful lot of bullet strength also in the commons for me is Bizarro. Okay, in a normal game, you wouldn't catch me dead with this character. You're not going to constructed. But I would, in a sealed game, probably you'd see me use this Bizarro at 215 points. He's got 10 movement with running shot on his first click with an 11 attack and 5 damage as well as invincible. And he's traded super strength, so he's always able to kind of hit somebody with an object or have that backup option. So, and having energy explosion is just good because not everybody's going to have toughness next to that character you're targeting, and you're already dealing an initial 5 damage. Anything else is juicy. And if you're lucky enough to pull a Dr. Light, you're looking at 6 damage just for having him next to you, right? And there's a couple wild cards as well in this set that can help feed that Superman enemy team ability, which he has, to give him an additional outwit. So between the wild cards and some of the Superman enemies that are in this set, I think Bizarro can be good in a pinch, especially in Sealed. That's just me.
That is why I put Mystic characters. If you have Mystics, you're an automatic super win for Sealed because there's so many wild cards in this set.
Yeah. So, now starting with Mike, let's move on to the uncommon slot. Mike, top 2 uncommons.
What did you call me? An uncommon what? Okay. I like, let's see here. My top pick was iVampire. Sorry.
Again, stealing my picks.
Stealing all your shit, dude. Motherfucker. All right. 9 clicks, 170 points. That immediately is very, very good. The big thing here is he's once again a vampire. So if my vampire is 75 points and he's KO'd across the KO line, but on the other hand, if he is 170 points, I like him at the 170 points in comparison to the other one, because if he isn't KO'd when he crosses the red KO line, he has a stop click. On that stop click, he has a very important power. I'm trying to refresh myself real quick here. When turning the dial, this click is revealed, do the damage. Yeah, can't be ignored. And can use hypersonic speed, the Mystic's team ability, and this power cannot be countered. So, and his powers can't be countered. So none of the powers on that particular section can be outwitted. Probability control as well. Give him power action to heal each adjacent friendly character of 1 damage. I mean, he becomes a supporter when he's down to his last 3 clicks with very, very good stats. Incredible.
No. He becomes a monster who can support.
He's the new Sodom Yat, or Weaponer, or whatever you want to really call it from this set. I think he's a sealed winner, very, very easily. Let's see here. What else did I like from this set? I mean, I had a few from the rare section that I really, really liked.
You're still in the comments, right?
Oh yeah, I did. I managed to pare it down. Woo! My second pick here was Scarecrow. Actually, is one of the ones that we previewed a while ago. I really like this. Stealth. He's not a main attacker by any means, but he has that one ability, which is the Scarecrow can use Incapacitate, Mind Control, and Poison, and when he uses Incapacitate to place a second token on a character, modify its attack value by -1 until your next turn. That's not really the important part. After actions resolve, you can use Mind Control as a free action targeting each of those characters. I mean, combined with the -1, it just means it's pretty awesome. Free action, Mind Control, targeting each. 2 bolts, 2 people, etc. Very, very good. Me like it.
All right. Well, it looks like Jordan stepped away for a second, so I'm going to kind of jump in and take over or just take it all out of order. My picks for the uncommon slot, one of which is definitely the Lex Luthor. Never underestimate the ability to guarantee the first shot in a game. The fact that he starts with that subterfuge token and then so he can only be targeted if the character started adjacent to him, so you still get a charge in, you can't running shot, get a shot off on him before Lex Luthor basically decides to do it. His leadership is really great. He can instead remove a token from a friendly character with the Injustice League keyword. I believe there's a couple in this set. I don't know how many of them can squeeze in with him, per se, but he also has Outwit, which is unfortunate because he already has a Superman enemy team, but he's also a calculator with all the lower point Mystics that are in this set. You can squeeze one of them in with him, and now start to punish your opponent double fold for even trying to get in a shot at him if you happen to do it. And he does start with running shot and pulse wave. So the fact that he's getting that first shot in almost guaranteed is huge when you throw in the fact that he's pulse waving.
One thing right away, though, I think that it kind of sucks that he's not 85 points at his lower click.
Oh, yeah.
You pair him up with the full power Bizarro, and it could be amazing, right?
Yeah, and you'd immediately be able to protect him with that Bizarro as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Bizarro gives Lex Luthor Mastermind regardless of point cost, I believe. Regardless of point value, yeah. Now, worth mentioning, though, is that the lower point version of Bizarro is playable at 100 points. So he's playable at 215 or 100. So that Bizarro plus this Lex Luthor at 200 points is actually a 300-point team. So you're getting that double protection on top of the Lex Luthor if you want to, want to protect him even further.
Well, you get the soak tank, right? Because you have invulnerability right there, so you're taking 2 damage very easily.
The only thing is it would come down as if you're facing an opponent Pulse Wave, because Pulse Wave would say, screw your subterfuge token, I don't care.
Pulse Wave is the solution to almost everything, though. I mean,
I'm glad you said
that's like saying, I forgot to give my mom flowers for her birthday. But what I can just Pulse Wave her, and then she's dead.
But here's the thing. He's got a range of 8, which means his Pulse Wave is 4. it's very easy to get a pulse wave of 5 and just outrange him.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, in sealed, monstrous.
This is what I'm talking about.
Oh, no. Just pointing it out to the overall appeal as the character. In sealed, he's going to be very hard to outrange pulse wave unless you have a TK.
Yeah.
Vibe.
How many opening dials have pulse wave in this set other than Lex Luthor?
Off the top of my head, not that I can think of, other than Batman, who has every power.
Because he's the goddamn Batman.
He is the goddamn Batman.
And Blight, but again, you'd have to play with like Vibe, but that would also be an easy outrange in that case.
You pointed out the flaw of her earlier anyway, the whole lack of attack, yeah.
No, that was Jay. I like her, and I think her trait's actually really good. The problem is she's so lackluster in stat value that, like, even with her trait, she's going to just be beaten, I feel. Like, just straight up. Because then you just learn. You're like, you hit her once, he clicks it, it's like, okay, you're that many clicks. Next attack, you don't mess up. Like, you can only kind of fall for it once unless you keep forgetting somehow in the middle of your game.
Unless you're forgetting your powers. We kind of just hijacked it from Jason there, though. I think he was in the middle of his...
That's right. Actually, because you took one of mine, I had to look for another character that I really like into the uncommons, so you gave me a bit of a chance here. The other one I really do like is the Outsider. For one, because he's a CSA character, below 70 points for the love of God is hard enough to find. He's also a wild card. He's got Outwit, and of course, being CSA, he's got probability control. And if you happen to have another character with the CSA team ability with him, he's soaking the damage instead of throwing out action tokens, which is, if you ask me, is a little bit more effective way to do it because it gets you 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do it 5 times if he's sitting in the back doing nothing, and you can get to the end dial, do regeneration, and keep it going, and you're no longer pausing characters that you have or limiting the amount of actions that your characters can have, which unfortunately is what the CSA team ability usually does. Also, he comes with mid-dial support, which in sealed is probably the most obnoxious thing to have in the world. Nobody wants their work undone in sealed, and he'll undo it with support with a reasonable 9 attack, which also has phasing in that side of the dial. Again, he's not gonna be the winner, but he's going to be. He can swing a game support-wise in a pretty important direction for your team. And of course, Calculator will help him get all those Superman enemies or Mystics, just adding on to on top of the beautiful cookie that he's making. So now we move to Jordan's top picks for uncommons.
I also had to pick somebody else because Mike picked Vampire. He was an obvious pick. I mean, he's kind of just like, who did you pick in month 2 or the last 3 months of War of Light? It was Sodem Yet. Why? Yeah. Because he can brawl and then brawl harder.
And not die, and you don't have to really play strategically with him.
Yeah, and you're guaranteed to stop where you need him to. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty nice to me. So it's like, you can't not get hit by that at the end of the day, because you put your guy out in a position where he's going to get hit. Even if you don't do damage, your opponent has to get within range to punch him the first time.
Yep.
But yeah, so I went with Madame Xanadu.
Woo!
Hell, if anything more I want, as I said, Mystics in a set that's full of wild cards, Prob, TK, and Stealth. Oh, and then, you know what? I know her traits specifically for Justice League Dark characters, but free heals for quite a few characters in this set if you want to try and build a theme team in Seal.
Yeah, because the Justice League Dark exists exclusively in this set, so you're bound to see them in Sealed, very likely.
And they're across the thing where you have a chance of pulling another one, especially in a 2-boostered Sealed. Like, actually, a couple of the boosters I've seen open have been Justice League Dark boosters.
Yeah, I've seen some of those where it's like, I think it was Black Orchid, John Constantine, Madame Xanadu, and what was the other one that was in that pack? I know there's a DEO agent, and I was like, really? What?
But I'd like to say it was Deadman. Or no, not Deadman.
Another Justice League.
It was Vampire. It was Andrew Bennett.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I was only
One commons, the 2 commons, and super rare John Constantine.
which is hardly a bad pack if you ask me. You can almost seal it right out of that one pack.
Yeah, just John Constantine, Xanadu now. I mean, it's going to be slightly redundant because Xanadu has stealth, and Constantine's going to be giving her stealth, which she already has. But everybody else that you give him that, early Eye Vampire. That's another thing. That's why I also put hypersonic speed, close combat characters, and improved targeting, hindering terrain as very valuable things in sealed because there's a lot of stealth too.
Yeah.
The other uncommon that I have that I really enjoyed from this set was the Owlman based on his trait thematically, but that's more from constructed. I was actually really impressed with the Cyborg. I feel like at 146 points, he could be a really solid character, just your go-to character to kind of pull it out, your SEAL team.
Yep.
He ignores your hindering terrain. He ignores elevated terrain for movement. And then, he's got that penetrating psychic blast that gives action tokens to characters. So if you're playing another tentpole, he's going to just start outclassing them.
Yeah,
he's going to be outwitting and throwing tokens onto a character.
Yep.
So that's really nice.
One of the hardest slots to pick from this set for me was the uncommons, because in sealed specifically, a lot of these uncommons are very playable. Like, even specifically in sealed, I'm just going to preface this now, the Ultraman is playable. He's not
in sealed, yeah.
Yeah, he's not a terrible character overall. He's got the CSA team ability, ignores hindering for line of fire. And if he's in hindering, his powers and abilities can't be countered, which there's enough outwit in this set to make that very functional. And he's playable at a lower point value at 100 points, where he's a charging brawler, which... Oh, no, I'm looking at Superwoman here.
But he also has ranged combat expert, so he's a charging brawler with also range capabilities with
punishing you for getting to him, and then he'll charge you when you're pretty close to him.
Mm-hmm.
While he's occupying hindering, not being outwitted.
Or, hey, you want to go for min-max, you play him with Vibe TKs him out, he's now hitting somebody for 12 and 5, which is more damage than his top dial.
Absolutely. So
good old Kal-El.
Yep. But I'm going to now, because Mike has stolen from everybody at this point, I'm going to let Jordan take the lead on the rares.
When it comes to rares, I was a little kind of up in the air. Obviously, I chose a lot of mystics and a lot of support, but for rares, I felt like the support was a little linear. I kind of got a toss. There was one character that clearly stood out, and that was the Hawkman.
Yeah.
I feel like 115 points, you cannot go wrong with playing that character.
Yeah. 12 with precision strike and full movement charge at 10 movement.
And then using sidestep so he can sidestep away, getting that energy shield bonus, as well as being able to punch people in the face. Booyah!
Yeah.
Then, hell, I mean, if you use that sidestep for the bonus in defense, you don't get to use close combat expert, but then again, options.
Right.
Nothing to complain about a character with options. And then the other character, which I wanted to put into a secondary slot, was a toss-up. I really, really like Vixen.
Yeah.
I feel like she's kind of a hidden gem in this set. She kind of does everything, and probably dial-wise, one of my favorite characters in the set. But the other character that I felt would be very crucial, as well as part of the I destroy a lot of the plans people are going to be playing, which is the Wildcard Mystics game. But he has Mystics himself, and that would be Blue Devil. He's going to hurt the Andrew Bennett that's going to be showing up a lot because of the small click.
Sorry?
Are you going for 3? Come on.
No, I was just trying to bat.
Vixen only got an honorable mention.
It's an honorable mention.
Right,
but the Blue Devil's in a spot where he counters a lot in sealed. So while I may not pick him generally as a sealed figure, in this set specifically, he interests me.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he's fantastic. I would agree with that pick entirely.
And he also punishes Eye Vampire.
And he's a Justice League Dark character, just to bring it back.
Yeah. All right, Michael.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, you guys ruined my picks there. So,
Oh, now you know how it
no,
feels.
you didn't actually. I like Killer Frost. I think it's a really interesting character overall. Steel energy, range combat steel energy against a single character. Opposing characters using steel energy do not heal when a friendly character. Secret Society supervillain. Keyword is adjacent to Killer Frost, so obviously geared towards the other very common named keyword, right? Justice League Dark and Secret Society of Supervillains are well, and CSA, of course, are very, very, very common in this set. Yeah, I think it's a kind of a hidden gem. Maybe not. Maybe it is. I'm not sure.
I
Uh,
I really like her.
yeah, when Killer Frost is hit by an attack, this is the white damage power, and actions resolved. Give the attacker an action token. I mean, it's control piece. I love control pieces. They're fantastic.
One of
Uh,
my favorite thing about it is that they decided on the HC Realms to actually put Caitlin Snow as her real name. I
nice.
wonder how many Flash fans are going to get super upset when they figure out the connection there.
Yeah,
'Cause,
spoilers.
it just made me sad. Like I was like Killer Frost. I just got sad.
There's a lot of I think with the Argus keyword, it's gonna lead back into Flash a little bit too.
I actually love Suicide Squad. Hello Harley theme.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. Another pudding. Love it.
Female puddings all day long.
All day long, every day.
Starting to become a complex in my life. I'm not gonna lie.
I chose a couple others as well. I like Shaggy Man. I've been saying this to Jason since we saw the preview of him. I was like, oh, or I don't remember. Even, I think it was preview even. We came across it somehow.
Yeah.
In the ether. Battle Fury, Battle Fury, Battle Fury, Battle Fury, Battle Fury. All across the board there. Along with super strength. You know, his stats aren't incredibly high for the point value, but he has 9 clicks and he regenerates constantly. Every single turn he gets a health back. And then he can use regeneration on his 6th through 8th click as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this guy's not going down very easily at all. Total soak tank, you know, -2 from the invulnerability as well to any damage that he actually is taking. And I think he's meant to actually take the damage in this particular case. Secret Society of Supervillains, easy to work into a team and sealed. Good overall.
Yes.
Oh yeah, beginning of your so that's the wording on that. Beginning of your turn, you may heal Shaggy Man of 1 damage. So the constant regeneration. I can't stress that enough. That's amazing.
I see the Shaggy Man, but where's the Scooby dude?
Dude, you're a weirdo. I also went for the side note of the grid. I think is possibly usable as well. Top dial pulse wave that we were talking about before.
Yep.
Pulse wave, not pulse wave, not yeah. Pretty damn good in that way. Opposing characters, Justice League or Justice League of America keyword can't use outwit, perplex, or probability control. Once again, control, right?
Yep.
There are a lot of Justice League of America keyworded characters in this for obvious reasons. It is the Justice League Trinity War. Captain Obvious. 6 and also opposing characters within 6 squares can't ignore push damage. And then with shape change, yada yada. This I think it's actually well worth the 115 points, even though the combat stats could be a little bit higher.
Well, you guys chose all of mine, so F you both.
We actually just named all of them. No.
You can still pick Sinestro, who I think is an avid pick.
Yeah, not in Seal. But Element Woman, I think, sticks out as one of the more versatile ones, kind of like how you mentioned Vixen, where she's versatile. This one as well, beating your turn, choose one Earth, Fire, Ice, and she can use associated powers. If you choose Earth, it's Barrier and Impervious. If it's Fire, it's Energy Explosion and Psychic Blast. And if it's Ice, it's Incapacitate and Perplex. So this is a character that has those powers you need at the time that you need them. For instance, when you're using Barrier and Impervious, obviously you're blocking down. And she also comes with more than half of her dial with Super Senses. So you can potentially Super Sense it off. Now, on the first click, she's got Shape Change as well as on the 4th click. So Shape Change, Impervious, Super Senses.
I think the only thing I would ever ask of a character like this is if her phasing was low dial and her plasticity was top dial, then I would have to play her every game because she'd be outrageous. You have 6 clicks of impervious. Who has 6 clicks of impervious?
She would.
Exactly, with super senses and shape change 1/3 of the time.
Yeah. So yeah, she really stood out to me as a pretty frustrating character to have to deal with in sealed. Other than that, you guys kind of nailed it with Shaggy Man being a thick-dialed, obnoxious guy who's gonna have a hard time dying. Kind of like how Little Lobo was great in. I just realized I'm not focused. How Little Lobo was great in Teen Titans Sealed because of the fact that he healed. Shaggy Man heals, and then when you get towards the late dial, he's like, I've done a lot of damage, he's got a shitty defense. What do you mean he doesn't subtract 2 from his regeneration roll?
Yeah. Pure regeneration.
Yep, and he will. Like there is some shape change in the set, so he doesn't care about that. But when you got somebody like Element Woman, like I was mentioning, who's got the other 2 things that he doesn't ignore, she can really balance that out. But now we're gonna move on to super rares, and I'm tired of everybody taking all my stuff, so I'm starting with super rares and primes, and I'm taking the obvious answer in the primes. I'm saying it. Freddie Freeman.
Yes.
Freddie Freeman.
Play this character.
Yes.
You know what? I don't see the big hype about him. I think he's meh.
You're so full of shit.
So he's got top dial hypersonic with impervious, and he also has super strength, really relatively decent stats, 11 attack, 11 movement, indomitable, 18 defense with impervious. It's where he gets into his late dial where you get those last 3 clicks. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He can take 6 clicks of damage. And his last 3 clicks have an ability where he can use Pulse Wave as if he had a range value of 9. And when he does, an action's resolve, heal Freddie Freeman of 1 damage for each hit opposing character. So if he's in a tight spot and you've got him on those clicks and you Pulse Wave and you hit a bunch of guys, you're getting a bunch of clicks back. It could be, up to 3, depending on the number of characters that you're dealing with. Could be 1, could be 2. But healing anything in a sealed environment is hefty. And Freddie Freeman only comes in at 112 points of your team. So Freddie Freeman could be included on a team with, say, Grid alongside him. I think Grid is another rare, though, so you'd have to be really lucky to pull both of those particular rares. But there's
characters. He his stats really well across the board, too.
Yeah, his attack never drops below 10, which is actually pretty decent. His defense fluctuates between 18 and 17, which 17, if you ask me, is a new 16. And 16.
Yes, but in the sealed, where we're not going to see as much perplex and stuff like that, there are a lot of 10s. There are a lot of 7s and 6s to have to be rolled to hit him, so it's not that bad.
Yeah. And those first 2 clicks at 11 and 12 damage, or 11 12 attack damage, quote, that would be insane. Really good. And the second and third clicks come in with charge and super strength and exploit weakness. So he's 112 points. He can carry an ultra heavy. That's 6 damage straight through if he can nail that with the second click, which is likely with a 12 attack.
And the 17 defenses that run rampant in this set.
Yeah, absolutely. And my second pick for the super rares, because I don't want to steal it from anybody, I'm doing it. Batman.
That's fine.
At 150 points or even at 85 points, his Batman is very playable. The ability to choose either aid damage or attack power is very versatile. The ability to give Justice League characters the Batman Ally Team ability is very potent. There's fewer characters in this set that can ignore that than is given credit. I believe, what is it? We talked about one already, and I can't even remember who it was now. But there's only a handful of characters in the set, Superman included, that can Superman, Ultraman can get around the hindering. That's where it stands, though. So if you can get Batman on a team, heck, Batman at 150 with Freddie Freeman, they're both. Did Freddie Freeman have Justice League? I don't remember now.
No.
No, he doesn't. His team.
He does not. Okay.
Keyword lean.
Yeah. He's got a lot of keywords: Fawcett City, Mystical, Outsiders, Teen Titans, Young Justice.
Nothing
that's going to help on that one. No. Okay.
I heard nothing keywords. Sorry, Teen Titans was there.
No. I mean for this set, it's
nothing to help Batman is what I meant.
Oh no.
Yeah. Nothing that Batman is going to be able to grab off of. Either
How
way,
many times can you
he's
say
doing
Batman?
and the fact that he's got Outwit and Perplex, and when he's got no action tokens, he adds on probability control as well, and that's not an or. He can use all three. He's the goddamn Batman. I don't know what else to say. So I'm gonna pass it off to Mike. Your super rare and prime picks.
Well, you took my prime pick. Like, that was my absolute favorite prime for sure. I'm not going to steal Jordan's because I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for the outsider in this particular case. I really don't. One thing I'm going to say right off the bat, though, I really don't like the Dr. Light prime. So I'm just going to stay away from that.
What? That was my prime pick.
I like Hyper Time. Very, very useful. It's whenever an opposing character is given an action given an action that attempts to move from a non-adjacent square into a square that is adjacent to a character using hyper time. It's the same as KC, right? I mean, you got to roll to be able to base them. I believe that's how that works.
Yep.
It's an older team ability. You see it very, very rarely. It's nice to see it every once in a while. And then, in fact, I think I've only used it like twice ever, or I played a character that used it twice. Another Flashpoint character, so it goes really well with Captain Thunder outside of Sealed. For 117 points, he's not bad as far as primes go. I'm not that excited about it. I'm a little let down that I didn't get to talk about Freddie Freeman, but I sort of did anyway. Improved movement, ignores hindering terrain. Just good overall character. I mean, you can't really expect too much less from a prime, unless you're talking about Dr. Light. And then for my super rare preview here, or pick rather, I went with Tim Hunter. I think he's just one of those nice little low point characters that you can fit onto a team that does a lot for his points. He's 58 points. It's only 4 clicks, but on those 4 clicks, when Tim Hunter is adjacent to friendly characters with Justice League Dark keyword, he can't be the target of opposing characters' probability control. So he can't be rerolled. Let's see here. Energy Shield, Deflection, Probability Control, Pulse Wave, and Super Senses, and Willpower on his top dial. That's just on one white power. It's amazing. They're just packing it in there. Before any attack roll, Tim Hunter may replace his defense value with the unmodified defense value of any adjacent character with the mystical keyword. I played with a character on the weekend in my that I added to my team to specifically counter runaround, it's something with plasticity that was cheap, and that was the 20-point Magia Goon. This reminds me of that, except that the Magia Goon says, no, your power is mine, the guy who's coming at him, whereas this guy can steal it from anybody else around him. So it's like a reverse defend. Let's see here. As long as they have the mystical keyword, of course, which seems to be pretty prevalent in this set. Tim Hunter, free action, and choose an adjacent friendly character with mystical keyword and 1 or more action tokens. Yeah, just really good, really great for the points. I'm really, really hoping that I do pull him at some point. But yeah, my pick was the Batman originally. The Batman.
All right, Jordan, what do you got?
3 picks, none of you guys considered. So first, I want to say, Mike, do you realize that Dr. Light has a minimum 12 movement running shot?
Okay, come on, bring it. Come on.
Read his trait.
All right. Maybe I didn't give it the...
At the beginning of your turn, you may roll a d6. Sorry, minimum 11 running shot.
Right.
If you do, replace Dr. Light's speed value with the result plus his sprinted sprinted speed value until the end of your next turn. When you running shot, it's a replacement. You replace with half, and then you replace with his trait, which means he running shots 11 squares and then shoots his full range.
I do want to,
but I guess you're right.
I do just want to point out one thing, though, is this question has been submitted to the WizKids rules forums, and we might get nerfed on that one. I'm just bringing that to light because that question hasn't been fully answered yet by the WizKids.
Wasn't Mikhail Rasputin the exact same wording?
No, because there wasn't the beginning of the term clause. That's what could possibly change all of this.
Fair enough. But if we don't get errata, 108 points for character super senses, 11, 19 swing minimum. Ignores blocking terrain for movement. Shape change, super senses, psychic blast. Gets invincible. Range combat expert. Like that's some pretty nice abilities, and especially late dial where he's getting the pulse wave, energy shield, deflection. And then if he has been given a move action this turn, he can use regeneration as a free action. He's 108 points. He's healing, he's damaging, he's avoiding attacks. That's my prime pick. Super rares, I went for, I guess I'm going to go for the typical Zatanna. She's supporty. You push her, she's healing like nothing. And then she's also an attacker in the games you're going to need her for, because it says at the beginning of the game, which means map is picked, and then, bam, I want to choose support this game because you have a tent pole, or hey, I want to go all at you because you have a one-man arm, or you have a whatever.
Yeah, you get to see what
they make the decision, which is always really nice. Everyone's going to hate me for this, but almost for the same reason I picked Zatanna, I'm going to say Wonder Woman. In Sealed, that Wonder Woman's a powerhouse, and she's going to rip tons of people apart. She has a nice amount of invincible on her dial. She has a nice amount of attack values, good damage values. Damage values, when put into comparison, that she can just pick up fucking objects out of nowhere. It's like, hey, give me that wall. I'm going to hit you with it. Hey, give me that piece of blocking terrain. Let me hit you with it.
Is that a unique ability where somebody can actually create their own?
Not totally unique. Like there are certain characters, like when they make an attack adjacent to this, they can do this, or they create an object. Or some characters like give a free action, drop.
It's always been light.
Yes, she gets to create her own standard heavy object.
Yeah.
And the thing is you free action, place it in her square, then she charges with it.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have her being able, like, especially if you get her with other characters who have stealth, then you just hide her behind them.
I have this funny image of her just going, picking up a wall and going to slam somebody with it.
Yeah. One of the great teams I actually thought was going to come up very often was, what most people didn't realize is the Aquaman on his lower dial is 60 points with an 11 attack. That means Wonder Woman can give Aquaman support. So Wonder Woman carries Aquaman around the game, and Aquaman's like, here's Wonder Woman, here Wonder Woman, here Wonder Woman.
Yep.
And are you going to hit 60-point Aquaman, or are you going to watch Wonder Woman destroy your team? Make your choice.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. Before we move on to story time, quick picks. Is there a chase you would like to pull in the Sealed to play? Just the name of the Sealed. We don't have a whole lot of time with regards to why. So, Mike, if you could pull one Sealed to play with or one chase to pull in Sealed, what would you play with?
I'd go for, I think, Gluttony in this case.
Gluttony?
Pride.
Pride?
Pride.
Pride is one I would pick too, mostly because of the idea of the stuff. But we're running out of time. We wanted to talk about this past weekend on the road to Windsor. So, for those of you who've already read the article that we put up online, it was a great tournament. A lot of people showed up, a lot more, considering that we got a nice little snowstorm on the same day. And of course, Jordan and Mike were both there, in both presence and soul. So I'm going to start with Mike because he's to my immediate left in the images below. Mike, tell us how the tournament went for you. I know the results, but everybody would like to hear it.
Okay, well, first of all, I had a really, really good time. It was great to come out and support and be there and watch other games and everything else. But, I was really actually, I was pretty glad that the guy that I lost to in my first round was actually the guy who won it all. My first attack was a push crit miss. So I damaged myself by 2 points, and then I had Despotalis and Harley Quinn poison me when I was pushed out.
Oh.
So, big positioning error on my part. Also, really shitty dice, which would have really changed a lot of things actually had I hit. It wasn't a terribly tough thing to hit either, but it requires me to actually be able to hold little cubes in my hand with numbers on the side and then throw them and have things happen. My second round, I was the buy in the second round, so I got a win with 0. And then in the third round, I played against the guy I actually playtest with most of the time, and I lost. But it was a team, like it could have gone either way. Slight positioning error on my part led to my loss, but I did manage to get some points out of it. So I didn't make the top 8, but went on to play in some battle royals, and I'd never played with Heroclix before, so that was really, really fun for me. And, got some good prizes out of it. I ended up buying half of a gravity feed with constructs, sharing with a friend of mine, and got 3 sniper rifles out of it, which is pretty awesome.
Nice.
Some good trading happened. Oh, I did a fantastic trade with Heroclix Stan when I was there. I won't discuss the details of the trade, but I think we're both pretty happy. So, yeah, that's how it was for me. Thank you again.
Hey, no problem. Jordan.
Yeah, first off, I'd like to say I also had like an amazing time going. It was really fun to play for the day. I'm a little disappointed with my overall play because I did make some glaring mistakes. First time I'd ever played a Dr. Fate, so I kind of was just like, here's my Despotellis, and I made that mistake in my first top 8 match, so single elimination. That was just the end of my day. My first 3 matches throughout the day, match 1, I played a Kyle Rayner Avensur team. There was a slight mistake on my opponent's side, which allowed me to capitalize and take out Kyle Rayner with quite a bit of ease. And then he followed up with, just before I took it out, obviously, he followed up with a miss. So that game went really well for me. My second game, I played against my Zombie Super Skrull, who was actually, I believe, in the semifinals, and placed second.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ended up hypersonic speeding, super strength, right across the map, full distance, with his sidestep and the TK to base my Banshee and my Question and my Despotellis. And basically, at my first turn, I was able to take him down to his very last click, and I decided I was going to clear Banshee rather than have him punch him for the win. At the beginning of his turn, he chose Poison, hit 3 of my characters, and it was just a recession of poisoning you, getting KO'd, healing up, my figure's dying and coming back on his side. If I would have made an attack, that game would have just been over like that, but I decided to clear, which is the biggest mistake I felt like I made all tournament. And then round 3, I was able to pick it up by having a quick sweep against another local player, Jason, who actually played an interesting team that I actually quite liked. It was Engineer, Blink, Bizarro, and Banshee. And unfortunately, because of positioning error, I was able to hit his Banshee for 5 damage, which put him in a really bad position.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for sharing that. I do want to point out there's one team outside of a lot of the good teams in the top 8 that really stood out to me, and I was really upset that they didn't make the top 8 because there was some point scoring that they couldn't do in one round. It was Tom Kerr's team. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, but I was really excited when I saw Flatman, first of all. Never seen him on a competitive team. Engineer and Captain Marvel. And the last 100 points was taken up by a Beyonder. 100-point Beyonder. So I was excited to see that, and unfortunately he also lost to the same guy that you lost to in the first round, or not, like in the prelims. So he was also only beaten by the guy with the Zombie Super Skrull who made second place, who was Trevor Visser. And of course the winner, Rory Rudd, who actually was nice enough to pass off his seat because he won't be going to Windsor to another player. Rory's team was one of those teams a lot of people don't think about, which is Well, we'll call it the legal to drink in America team. Basically, you're hitting a 21 defense with this team. He used a Doctor Strange from Amazing Spider-Man, chose Defenders as the team ability that he shared with characters adjacent to him. And on his team as well was Captain Marvel, who, when he uses Defend, gives a +1 defense. Harley Quinn at 50 points. Despotellus, which is the kind of the key on this one. Bill and Blind Owl. So what he managed to do is put Despodara into the format that it doesn't exist in. Giving the Defenders team ability to Doctor Strange, and from Doctor Strange to Despotellus and Captain Marvel. Despotellus is able to share his defense with Captain Marvel, who's then able to share his defense with all the people around, which is now a 20, which becomes a +1 if they don't have the Kree keyword, which is a 21 defense. It was a pretty hard bubble to crack, unless you're packing some Pulse Wave. Or
some really high attacks.
Yeah, or some really.
I was carrying some Pulse Wave, but alas, I could not use it, for I was already dead.
Yeah.
I had some Pulse Wave, but I tried to use it with a special power within 6 squares of Dr. Fate, and it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that you know what? It's only because it's stopping it at the action point of it, right? And that's
Dude, it's just so upsetting because I could have one-hit the Doctor's Fate, and I decided, no, I'll go for Question because Dr. Fate's not that scary.
Yeah.
Then he just fucked my whole team up because I couldn't do anything.
Yep.
Highly upsetting game. I felt like I could have definitely played that better if I knew how to actually play that game.
So myself, I managed to go out to the Comic Book Addiction. I keep calling it the Comic Book Addiction. It's Comic Book Addiction out in Whitby. A bit of a trip, but it's nice to have the train nearby my place. For those of you who watched some of our early videos and had the heroes pause for the train to go by. But I went with a team I'd been kind of on the edge about. There were some issues I had with regards to it, and I really wanted to feel it in competitive play to see if I could do anything with it. My team was the Captain Marvel Prime, Thane, and the Con Question. Idea, of course, is that it's a mid-range brawling team where I can, I've got some shorter ranges with the 6 range from Captain Marvel and the 6 range from Thane, and I do have the brawler in Question also stopping perplexing and able to jump up some perplexes. So I had my own 20 defenses in a lot of cases that unfortunately weren't really doing much for me when your opponents can actually manage to roll to hit those. And my first round was up against one of the players I playtest with a lot, Patrick Chow. His team was a Dark Phoenix, 100 points, Proxima Midnight, 100 points, and Captain Cold. He played a very careful game with the Captain Cold and didn't start putting out the ice tokens until it was ready to actually affect my game. And even by giving Question plasticity, I couldn't roll the breakaway to get him out of there and get into the fight. And my Thane ended up getting isolated because I made an attempt to finish off the Dark Phoenix with a big old Pulse Wave, that once per game Pulse Wave that the Thane can do. That just didn't want to happen. Yeah. I used that Pulse Wave twice in tournament games in that tournament, and it missed twice. So in that first game, I ended up I didn't even score a single point that game. Second game, fella named Gary, my first time getting a chance to meet him and play with him. He was playing Deadpool and Bob, Weasel, and Kidpool. So it was, in any other world, it's a theme team. And he was also wearing a Deadpool shirt. So I kind of got the idea that he was a fan.
Maybe a little bit.
No.
Yeah. So now this game was a little bit more of a fight coming from me. Unfortunately, my questions, for some reason, having a 21 defense was just not going to stop Gary from hitting him. So, like, at one point, I had the question based with Captain Marvel next to him, and using the duo attack with the Deadpool and Bob, he still managed to do quite a bit of damage. That Deadpool and Bob can hit hard with a duo attack too. And because my team has to be in there, it hurts a lot. And my team has no ignore hindering, which kind of comes into play a little later in the fact that I can't get my psychic blasts off with my Thane. So
what you really got on that team is Charge Flurry with Question and your one Pulse Wave.
Yeah, and guess what the Charge Flurry did?
Missed both times.
Missed both times, needing a 5. ever since Jake's article came out, I can't hit a 5.
Yeah.
I sent him a message. I was like, Jake, you ruined my 5s. My 5s used to be, I could make them all the time. Now, for some reason, ever since you wrote that article, can't hit a 5 for the life of me.
Yeah, 5 used to be my go-to number until I go for
that
5.
article, because in that battle royal, I rolled 6 times below 4 in a row.
Really? In the Battle Royale? I had to roll like 9
Not even competition. Just 6 times in a row. It was awful.
Oh, it was the worst thing ever. And, of course, I had Deadpool Bob down to a point where a Pulse Wave will finish him, get my Captain Marvel out of the way, just needed a 5 to hit. Guess what? Couldn't hit a 5 on a Pulse Wave single target, right? Ignoring Invincible, ignoring everything, and eventually would have gotten down to the, Heroclix, and, well, everything started to fall apart when Deadpool and Bob started hitting back. My third game was against a guy using Banshee, John Stewart, and Professor. Now, this came down to my opponent not reading my cards very carefully because he moved off to the side on top of a bunch of elevated terrain, and I guess he didn't realize that Question doesn't care about elevated terrain with regards to movement.
Nope.
So he had his Banshee and John Stewart up there. Made a couple attacks against my Thane. He went straight damage on his ranged combat attack, ranged combat expert with his John Stewart. So he needed a 7 to hit my Thane and missed that because of my 18 defense. And he then tried with Banshee, and because Banshee was close enough, I also didn't have my Invincible. And actually, sorry, it was a 19 defense because of Captain Marvel. My bad.
With my gameplay, I'd like to point out, range combat expert and going all to damage with a 7, even with a need to roll a 6, I'm going both to attack. It's like...
Absolutely.
I always go to attack. Just
yeah. But
1 and 1 only if I only need a 5.
Yeah, and I think this came down to my opponent going all in. Both would have really hurt my Thane because of the distance he was from Banshee and the distance I needed to be from Banshee. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. And I ended up capitalizing on that in a very quick... I think the game lasted all 2 turns because I charged flurried his Professor, who was on his own, with Question. And then Thane proceeded to Psychic Blast Banshee for 5 damage after he had pushed. And he missed his Super Sense roll. And then I basically finished him off with... No, actually, this ended 3rd turn because then I running shot with Captain Marvel. I actually critically hit on this one, and it was a Psychic Blast, which now John Stewart can't attack back. And then Question came in to finish it off.
Pow, pow, pow. Top hats for the win.
It was that moment where it's like, okay, well, that's how the team was supposed to work. Why didn't it do it the rest of the time? So I'm going to go back to the drawing board with that team for a couple of reasons. One was stylistically it didn't fit me very well. I was very uncomfortable playing the team, not as comfortable as I had been playing it earlier. Part of it might have been some map choices, but for the most part, I couldn't get a comfort level out of the team. 2, I don't think there was enough figures for someone like me to be playing with them. I think the team needed some more options. And this is a thing where it's like, yeah, practice makes my team better, but sometimes practice also makes you realize that a team's no good for you.
Yeah.
And this is that case that happened is my team ended up being no good for me. But I did stick around, watch the Final Four, which was a miasma of a lot of different neat little tricks. Patrick, of course, made the top 4 with his team with the Dark Phoenix, Proxima, and Captain Cold. In the top 4, the single eliminations, his opponent was also playing a Dark Phoenix. It was a Dark Phoenix, a Red She-Hulk, and a Brother Voodoo. Yes, Jordan, that's the face.
What does that do?
Make that face again. This is the face I made when I saw that team. And I was like, huh? I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the teams at this location were very creative. I only saw, I think, 1 or 2 teams that I could definitely say I saw that on the internet for. And there was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Patrick. So that was one match, and the other match was Dan Upham, the guy actually organizing the Windsor tournament. Spoiler alert: he won this tournament. He was up against the Gravity Feed Lex Luthor, the Gladiator from the prize kit, and I can't remember what made up the last of the points.
Another throw together, right?
It looks like it was thrown together.
That's what he does. He did that the first day too. It was a totally different team. But he manages to throw these things together, at the last minute. It's great.
No, this wasn't Dan. This was Kevin, his opponent. Dan played the same.
Oh.
Team. Dan played the same team he played at our venue, which was Gates, Despotellus, Engineer, Harley Quinn, and Gamora. Now, that team looks thrown together, but if you look at it, the team can do 4 damage without rolling a single die if in the right situations.
Right.
3 damage in the case of just a normal set of poisons. As well, Gamora can charge in from the back end of that and do a lot of damage herself, or she happens to be stuck around already. Yes, Jay, smile it up. Gamora is good, okay? For 55 points, she's amazing. Look at this.
I was actually more smiling at the fact that she can charge in from behind.
Yeah. Yes, that's also equally awesome. But yeah, that Gamora gets around super senses with her precision strike as well. So in the right situation, you can actually have that Gamora get the first shot and get +2 to her attack with the combat reflexes using the precision strike as well, and just say F you to your super senses and do 3 damage, probably in most cases getting you off super senses. Or a lot of characters who have super senses, don't have significantly deep dials. And yeah, so he ended up winning with that team in that tournament, and he's been nice enough to hand me his ticket because nobody else would take it, and he's running the show. So what does he need with the free entry into the super qualifier? So, and of course I'm still going to go to the one at Black Knight Games this weekend in Hamilton just to get a little bit more practice. I might actually use a team similar to Dan's, or I might actually use Dan's team because I had something very similar in a way with what's it called, Murmur instead of Gamora, but Murmur has more of a situational value to him, where he's kind of relying on my opponent having a certain power set to get the extra attack and use the flurry, and I don't like relying on Blades, Claws, Fangs rules at all.
No.
And you'll probably see me try to do the 2 attack, or maybe try to find a way to get Empower in there, or maybe make him the pudding.
I don't know if my luck works that way, but as you can tell, I like Blades. Blades works for me.
Yeah, and I've had I had this lucky streak with Blades, Claws, Fangs where I had this Alpha Strike team with a Silver Samurai of all friggin' things, with a Book of Skulls that
Don't you knock the Silver Samurai.
What's that?
Don't you knock the Silver Samurai.
I'm not knocking Silver Samurai, but the team worked perfectly every single time I used it, which is scary when you think about the fact that this is the Silver Samurai does 2 damage at front end, and I was rolling mad 6s for my Blaze Claws with him. And it was an armor team that used the Book of Skulls, him, the Iron Man drones to carry out early, get him hammered up early, and I was using the Batman with the Pseudosauros on this team.
And then obviously a split lip because you could get everything like turn 1.
Yep, and it was also an armor theme team back when even generic theme teams got theme props. So
yeah, so what? You carried out at the beginning of your turn for free, to then drop a hammer for free, to then drop a hammer as a power action to pick it up for free. So now you have 2 hammers out on turn 1, so that turn 2, you free action to drop your 3rd hammer to your 4th hammer being dropped on, or no, you 5 hammers you can drop a second one?
Yep.
3 is switching.
No, 4 you can start dropping a second one.
Okay, so yeah, you drop the 4th one, the beginning of turn 3, when he's probably in position to do something, drop a hammer. He's now got +3 attack, and both of the set of abilities you want to give him.
And this build of it was using the Silver Samurai, which got free action, 14 movement phasing.
Yes, and then close combat attack afterwards.
Exactly, with a 14 attack because he starts with a 12 attack, right? So second turn, I'm already in your face and giving you a problem while I'm setting up more hammers, right?
Yeah, and then what? It just kind of becomes a landslide because he gets up to like a 15 damn attack.
And I upgraded that build at one point I replaced the armors got taken out of the game.
Yes, so you don't need the armor theme anymore.
Yeah. And then
That's the most important part of the
Oh, map choice? What armor theme? Amber?
Tony Stark, that mind control for Silver Samurai.
Right, and I also had the 70-point Tony Stark. That's what it was.
Yeah.
70-point Tony Stark who allowed you to mind control armor characters.
Which I would like to point out, play War Machine Prime with 2 of those bad boys, and it's when he's targeted So even if both your mind controls miss, he's got 2 tokens that he can now take off for a free attack.
Yeah. Whew. All right. We're a little over time today. Thank you, everybody who's watching right now, for watching us. Any final thoughts with the coming Wednesday set and everything coming up in, lately? Mike?
I spent a lot of money. It's going to be good. The end. I think Jason froze. Is he moving on yours?
There we go. All right, Jordan is back.
Good.
All right. Jordan, final thoughts?
I personally, I just want the real shinies. And by real shinies, I mean the Chase Prime and that Super Rare Prime. Like, they hurt me with this set. So.
And on that note, guys, I hope to see whoever I do see or who's ever willing to come up to Hamilton. The Black Knight Games, I believe that's 868 Mohawk Road East in Hamilton. They're going to be running
68.
Oh, they're running their qualifier, their feeder tournament for the Eastern or the Super Qualifier in Windsor. Oh, I swear to God, I'm going to get this right. It's a win-a-map. February 28th at 11:30 a.m. at 868 Mohawk Road East in Hamilton at Black Knight Games. Entry fee is $20, $15 for Stronghold members. What they're adding to the prize I just discovered is store credit. So top X number of players, depending on how many people show up, are actually going to get store credit in addition to the win-a-map prize kit and their ticket to Windsor and the dice, the tokens, and ROC points. So they've actually made that a lot more appealing for the slightly higher price. And I'm going to be there this weekend. I hope to see other people there. Other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching. And thank you very much, Jordan and Mike, for joining me.
1 second. There's also one next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday as well, yes. Well,
yes.
We should mention that. This was a last-minute entry into the Road to Windsor. This is the Wizard's Cache at 333 Bloor Street in Toronto. It's actually below a bookstore, for those of you who won't see it on street level. Below a bookstore. It's called the Wizard's Cache. They have space for, I believe, 20 players, they said. Have you received an entry fee information?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
We'll get that to you guys definitely by next Monday. This tournament is next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. I don't know if they're running later, or if they're doing any cuts to 4, or if they're just doing a straight 3-round tournament on this case. We'll see what happens. In the meantime,
surprising for sure.
Yeah, there's going to be extra prizing as well as the win-a-map prize kit and the entry to Windsor. In the meantime, thanks for joining us. Michael Jordan, thank you. Wow. Michael Jordan.
Whoa, dude. Whoa.
Whoa.
I am tired and I need to...
Oh, my God.
Well, time.
Just remember, guys, practice makes your team better.
Makes better teaming good.